So you're looking to tap into that, inner Steve Jobs, right? That flash of brilliance, that thing that all these visionaries seem to have. And you know what? You're onto something with this article we're diving into. Developing intuition, 5 practices to strengthen your inner guidance. It's like someone wrote a guide to, bottle those light bulb moments.
Yeah, and what I think is really interesting is how it approaches this whole idea of intuition. Like, it's not some mystical thing you're just born with, It's a skill, almost like a mental muscle you can actually work on.
Okay, see, now I like where this is going. Because let's be real, we've all had those times where something just feels right, like a gut feeling. But how do you make those feelings stronger, more, reliable? Is that what these practices are about?
Exactly. And think about someone like Steve Jobs, right? A total master of innovation. It wasn't just luck, right? He cultivated that instinct, that ability to see what others didn't. And you want to know one of his secrets? Mindfulness meditation.
Right, meditation. But isn't that more about, finding inner peace and all that? Mm-hmm. How does that translate to making, billion-dollar tech decisions?
Well, there's a fascinating connection there between a calm mind and a sharper intuition. Remember, we're talking about intuition as a skill, and just like any skill, it needs the right environment to really flourish, There was this study in Frontiers in Psychology that showed that meditation can actually rewire your brain. It boosts activity in the areas that are all about self-awareness and, get this, intuitive thinking.
Wait, hold on. You're saying it's not just some feel-good practice. It's actually changing, the physical structure of our brains. That's wild.
It is. Think of it like this. Your brain is this powerful antenna, right? But if it's always bombarded with noise, worries, to-do lists, that stupid song stuck in your head, it's hard to pick up those subtle, intuitive signals. Meditation helps you fine-tune that antenna.
Okay, yeah, I'm starting to see the connection here. But let's be honest, not everyone can just, sit in silent meditation for hours on end like Steve Jobs supposedly did.
Oh, for sure. You don't need a huge time commitment. Even just short bursts, 5-10 minutes a day can make a difference. It's about consistency, not necessarily how long you do it for, And that's something almost anyone can fit into their routine, no matter how busy they are.
Right, it's like sneaking in a mental workout.
Yeah.
But for your intuition, which is kind of cool. Okay, so we've got the foundation with mindfulness. It's like a way to quiet the mind and, I guess, sharpen that inner voice a bit. What's the next step in our journey to becoming total intuition gurus?
Get ready to get a little weird, because the next practice is all about unlocking those secrets hiding in your subconscious through dream journaling.
Ooh, okay. Now this one speaks to me. I've always felt like dreams had some kind of deeper meaning, but I always forget them. They disappear so quickly when you wake up.
Yeah.
So is this about holding on to that hidden wisdom?
Absolutely. It's like this. Your subconscious is this massive, untapped reservoir of creativity, right? Of insight. It's always working behind the scenes, even when you have no idea. And dreams, those are like dispatches from that hidden world.
So it's like our subconscious is trying to send us messages, but we just haven't learned the language yet.
Yeah.
Is that where dream journaling comes in?
Exactly. By writing your dreams down as soon as you wake up, you're basically saying, hey, subconscious, I'm listening. And you start noticing things like recurring themes, symbols. Even those completely bizarre storylines, they might actually hold clues about what your intuition's trying to tell you.
Like that famous story about, what was his name? Elias Howe and the sewing machine. Wasn't there something about a dream that helped him with his invention?
It's a classic example. So this guy, he'd been struggling for years to figure out this one part of the sewing machine, the needle mechanism, just totally hitting a wall. Then one night, boom, he has this crazy vivid dream where he's, get this, surrounded by cannibals.
Cannibals. Okay, that took a turn.
Right. And get this, they're holding these spears. But the spears have holes near the tips. The dream was so messed up, it actually jolted him awake. And that's when it hit him. The breakthrough.
Wait, the cannibals held the key to the sewing machine?
In a way, yeah. How he realized that he needed to move the eye of the needle to the tip, just like the spears in his dream. That one tiny detail, that's all it took to revolutionize sewing. And it just goes to show you, sometimes the most groundbreaking ideas come from the most unexpected places, our own minds.
That's incredible. Okay, but do all dreams hold these world-changing insights? What if most of mine are just about me showing up to work in my pajamas?
Haha, well, not every dream is going to be so literal, of course. But even the ones that seem totally mundane, they can still offer insights. You just have to, pay attention. Think of dream journaling, like building a bridge between your conscious and subconscious mind. The more you do it, the more fluent you become in like the language of your intuition.
So we're laying the groundwork by quieting the mind. Then we're tapping into the subconscious. It's like we're building this whole toolkit for intuitive thinking. But I'm guessing there's more to this whole intuition puzzle, right?
Yeah.
So we've been on this like deep dive into our own minds, right? Exploring these practices for like really tapping into our intuition, quieting the mind with mindfulness. Then we're diving into the subconscious with dream journaling. It's wild. But where do we go from here? What's the next tool in our like intuition toolkit?
This is where things get really interesting, especially when we think about someone like Steve Jobs, you know? It's all about connecting with nature.
Nature. Okay. Yeah, I can get behind that. A walk in the park, listening to the ocean. It's instantly calming. But how does that tie back to, having those Steve Jobs level aha moments?
Well, think about it. Jobs was famous for taking these long walks, right? To think through problems, come up with ideas, and he's not the only one. There's just something about being in nature that seems to unlock a different kind of thinking.
So it's not just about feeling good, though I'm sure that helps. There's an actual like cognitive shift that happens when we're surrounded by trees instead of like spreadsheets.
Exactly. Remember how we were talking about meditation reducing that mental noise? Well, nature does something similar. There's this study, it was in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, and they found that being in nature actually reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of our brain that's all about like overthinking and analyzing.
Okay, so less monkey mind, more room for intuitive insights to come through. Yeah, I can see how that fits in.
It's like in our everyday lives, we're bombarded with information, decisions, that never-ending to-do list. It's exhausting. Nature's like a reset button. It allows us to tap into this calmer, more receptive state of mind, and that's where intuition thrives.
It's like giving our brains a break from all the hustle so they can actually hear those intuitive whispers. I like it. But what about those of us who aren't exactly like hiking up mountains every weekend? I live in a city. Does that mean I'm doomed in the intuition department?
Not at all. Even small doses of nature can make a difference. A walk in the park, spending time in your backyard, even just looking at pictures of nature, these can all have a positive impact. Remember that Einstein quote, "Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better." He was onto something.
All right, I'm convinced. Time to schedule in some more tree time. Okay, so we've covered mindfulness, dream journaling, connecting with nature, all these things that seem different, but they're all contributing to this, like goal of sharpening our intuition. What's next on the list of intuition boosting techniques?
This next one might surprise you because it seems to be about focusing outward instead of inward. Get ready to become a master of active listening.
Active listening. Okay, I mean, that sounds simple enough, but how does that tie into intuition? I thought it was all about, tuning into our own inner voice.
It is, you're right. But here's the thing. When we really truly listen to others, not just waiting for our turn to talk, we're actually honing the same skills that we need for intuition. Patience, openness, the ability to pick up on those subtle cues. It's like we're exercising those intuition muscles without even realizing it.
So it's not just about what someone is saying, but how they're saying it. Their tone of voice, their body language, all that.
Exactly. It's about being present in that conversation, really tuning in. And, there's research to back this up. There was a study in the Personality and Social Psychology Review, and they found that people who are good at active listening, they're also more in tune with their own emotions, their own gut feelings.
That makes sense. If you're really paying attention to someone else, you're probably more likely to notice those subtle signals within yourself too. Like you're developing a heightened awareness, both like internally and externally.
Exactly. And, this ties back to Steve Jobs in a fascinating way. Think about his legendary ability to connect with customers, to understand their needs and desires.
Right. He seemed to know what people wanted before they even did. It was uncanny.
Right. And while I'm sure some of that was market research, I'd argue that a lot of it came from his ability to truly listen, to pick up on those unspoken cues, those underlying needs that went way beyond the surface level.
Wow, that's a really interesting way to think about it. So active listening isn't just about being a good conversationalist. It's a pathway to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Absolutely. And that deeper understanding, that ability to connect the dots, to see the bigger picture, well, that's a breeding ground for intuition.
So we've been on quite a journey here, exploring all these practices to boost our intuition. Mindfulness, dream journaling, getting out in nature, really listening to people.
It really is amazing how all these things, they seem so different, but they all connect back to that, strengthening that inner voice, that gut feeling that can like guide us to make better decisions and even just understand ourselves and the world around us better.
It's like we're putting